Administration has hinted at one of its boldest moves yet, America's return to the gold standard. Backing the U.S. dollar with gold would create stability in a time of rapid economic change, pushing the price of gold higher than we've seen in decades. Those who act now could be positioned to benefit the most. Premier Gold specializes in helping those with a 401k, IRA, or other types of retirement accounts utilize a little-known loophole to move some of their savings into physical gold. Today, they'd like to send you a free gold standard kit to help you decide if this process is right for you. Call 606-800-8000 to take advantage of current rollover policies. Early action on physical gold could position your portfolio for maximum growth. Call Premier Gold at 606-800-8000. Call 606-800-8000 now. Premier Gold is not a financial advisor. Please consult with your advisor before investing. Call 606-800-8000.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Technology stocks pulled Wall Street to another record amid mixed trading. The S&P 500 rose 0.2% after closing November at an all-time high. The Dow fell 0.3%, and the Nasdaq Composite gained 1%. Super Microcomputer, a stock that's been on an AI-driven roller coaster, soared after saying an investigation found no evidence of misconduct by its management or the company's board. Retailers were mixed coming off Black Friday and heading into what's expected to be the best Cyber Monday on record. The Dow was down 128 points to finish at 44,782. The Nasdaq gained 185 to 19,403. The S&P 500 added 14 points to 6047. With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and below freezing with a low this evening dipping down to 27. Tomorrow it's more sunshine, but even colder than today, a high of 47. Tomorrow night's low dips all the way down to 21 degrees. It's dry all week. Wednesday's high in the low 50s. Thursday's up to 63. But again, on Friday, we're cold. 47 is the high. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome into Sports Talk on this manic Monday, and what a weekend it was. First of all, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving weekend and enjoyed everything from Thanksgiving Day through the weekend, and now we're ready to talk about it with you here on Sports Talk. Phone number is 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to reach us here on Sports Talk. And don't forget, you can also hit us with a text message. Our text line is 803-900-4847. If you're watching the stream, you can send us a message there as well, and we'll respond to that. Phil Kornblut here in Columbia with Josh Cohen and Chris Bergen from the Berge Palace over in Sardis. So, great day up at Clemson as far as just everything. The atmosphere, even the traffic was fine, man. It took me 45 minutes once I hit the Pickens County line. I was parked in lot 14 in 45 minutes, so that was cool. And the weather was beautiful. And we had a football game for the ages between the Gamecocks and the Tigers. I salute everybody on both sides for putting on a great show. I know Clemson fans are brokenhearted and Gamecock fans are excited, as well they should be, because that's what you have in a rivalry game. And it could have gone either way, right to the last minute, right into the last seconds. And it was Clemson who blinked. It was Klubnik who made the bad throw, and South Carolina made the key defensive play, and Lenora Sellers was outstanding. I don't think there are enough adjectives left to describe that performance. So South Carolina feels great. Should they be in the college football playoff? We'll know a lot more tomorrow night when the committee issues its penultimate rankings. But I think everybody here would say yes, based on how they have finished and who they have beaten and just how well they are playing. If you're looking at the eye test and you're looking at the reading of the resume and the way selections normally happen, if you use the basketball selection process as maybe a template for this sort of thing, finishing hot, playing well late, et cetera, that should all work in the Gamecocks' favor when it comes to this. However, a caveat to that is the fact that the committee would have to bump them past two teams that beat them head-to-head. And how much weight does the committee put on that, Chris Bergen? I've read a lot of stuff today. Obviously, everybody's got an opinion. I don't know if this is what we wanted when we went to a 12-team playoff. The idea was, of course, when we went to a 14 playoff, that would solve all the problems, and it didn't. So we go to a 12-team playoff, and that was thought to solve all the problems, and it hasn't, because whoever doesn't make it, number 13, number 14, they're going to feel like they should have been in there as well. But you've got a committee of 13 people made up of 6 current or former athletic directors, 4 current or former head football coaches, 2 former NFL standouts, and a sports writer, a female retired sports writer. So that's your committee. And they all have their agendas, and they all have their perspectives. And does it just boil down to wins and losses and strength of schedules and points for and points against and turnovers for and turnovers against and how you've played in November? Or maybe it's something else that motivates one of the committee members to make a decision. My point in all this is, who knows? And the answer is nobody knows. And the jaw flappers out there can continue to push a particular agenda and a particular team, but they've got no say, and they've got really no influence. Now, the question is, are there outside influences on the committee? Do the commissioners have some sort of influence? Do the TV networks have some sort of influence? Will Greg Sankey push and be heard for 5 SEC teams being in there? Because if there's only 4, then I think South Carolina does not get in. Does the ACC push and be heard for having at least 2 in the field? If not, is it only going to be 1, the winner of their championship game on Saturday? Does the Big Ten get 3, 4 in the field? I mean, if you took 5 from the SEC and you took 4 from the Big Ten, that's 9 of your 12 right there. And then you've got your 3 other champions to throw in there. So I don't know that they would go that heavy with one particular league, though you know, Chris, that Greg Sankey's probably doing whatever he can to push for a minimum of 4 SEC teams.
And he's got the 3 bubble teams, right, in Alabama, Ole Miss, and, of course, Carolina. And if you're just basing it on, and we hear this all the time in February and March when the NCAA men's basketball tournament rolls around, how you finish the last 10 games supposed to be as important as anything else. No one has done a better job. No team in the country. I'm looking at Oregon's schedule in November. Of course, they haven't lost. They beat Michigan, Maryland, Wisconsin, and some other scrub out of the Big Ten, Washington. No one has the resume that the Gamecocks have. If you only look at them from a November perspective, USC's in, and they may be a top seed of how well they play. 6 straight wins, 4 over ranked teams, a couple on the road. I mean, it's remarkable what they have done. You want to talk about a November to remember. They've certainly had it. And you're right, Phil, that game Saturday, I finally got a chance to watch it today, and I was just blown away at both sides of the coin. I thought Clemson's offensive line did an extremely good job against USC's defensive front, only giving up 1 sack. I thought Klubnik played extremely well. But the problem is, if you're Clemson, Carolina's got the best player in the game. And Lenore Sellers, some of the stuff he does, it's almost ridiculous. I rewound some of his runs because you watch it the first time. There's no way he did that. There's no way he broke 8 tackles on that play. I think I saw a stat over the weekend that someone charted Clemson's missed tackles on him alone. There were 18, and it looked like there were 18 on his touchdown runs alone. Just a remarkable player. And the Gamecocks ought to be extremely pleased that he did not go to Syracuse. It's so much better that he's here. And that game was what we had been waiting for decades. A Carolina-Clemson game that mattered, had a national, sort of feel to it, and it played out that way, down to the last play. But I just, Phil, I don't think the committee is going to look at Carolina and ignore what happened in September. And I don't think they should. And I just think it's awfully difficult to get a 3-loss team into the playoffs, regardless of what they did. And Shane Beamer's right. Right now, they are one of the best 12 teams in the country. There's no doubt about that. The problem is, were they one of the top 12 teams throughout the year? I don't know. At one point in time, keep in mind, they were 3-3 and going nowhere. And Shane Beamer said in his post-game press conference the other day that he got to meet with his leaders on his team, and they said, we're winning out. And they backed it up and won out. And a remarkable performance. I just don't think they'll be able to get in and overlook the losses to Ole Miss, Alabama, and the one that they got screwed on, the LSU game. That's the one that's going to keep them out of the playoffs.
Well, the argument there would be, A, they got screwed, and B, Sellers was hurt. So if they could make that kind of argument, that kind of presentation, maybe they should have a day where the bubble teams are able to send their head coach in before the committee and
That'd
say,
be cool.
Here, listen to us. Here's what we've got. Or do a Zoom with them. At least do a Zoom with them and hear their presentation. Now, here is what South Carolina is facing.
To follow up on that, if you can penalize, as they did last year, Florida State for not having Jordan Travis at the end, and they weren't going to be the same team, do you reward South Carolina because they clearly weren't the same team without Lenore Sellers in the second half of the LSU game?
Absolutely. But here is what South Carolina is facing. And if you believe Joe Tessitore, who's an excellent play-by-play guy, but his job is not to tell the committee who should be in. As soon as Georgia...
I'm not sure, Phil, does he think Georgia's in the playoffs? I couldn't quite understand. He just didn't describe it enough. He didn't go into enough detail during the broadcast. I couldn't quite tell if he thought Georgia had gotten in.
Yeah, really. You mean where he exclaimed at the top of his lungs after Georgia won that game over Georgia Tech, and Georgia is in the playoffs? I mean, did he forget that Georgia still has to play in the SEC championship game, and if they lose, they have 3 losses. So is a 10-3 Georgia team going to get in? And is it the role of a play-by-play announcer who works for the SEC via ESPN to declare right after a game is won that the team is in the playoffs? There was no question in his mind. He declared loud and clear for all to hear, Georgia is in the playoffs. So if you take him at his authority, then you've got Texas will be in, Georgia will be in, Tennessee will be in. So that's 3. So that leaves a pool of Alabama, Mississippi, and South Carolina. And each one of those sits at 9-3. And as we know, Alabama beat South Carolina, and Mississippi beat South Carolina. Mississippi won in Columbia, Alabama won at home. But South Carolina beat a ranked team on the road Saturday, while Alabama and Mississippi beat unranked teams at home. And not that decisively. I guess maybe Mississippi was relatively decisive. Alabama won by a couple of touchdowns. South Carolina beat a team ranked higher than them on the road. How do you juggle all that information if you're the committee? Now, Lane Kiffin makes an argument that I think is hard to refute. If the committee is thinking between Ole Miss and South Carolina, how can you ignore the fact that in the same conference they have the same record, and Mississippi not only beat South Carolina in Columbia, but they beat them badly?
I agree.
Now, South Carolina might be a better team here 6 weeks later, and they are, but how do you stare down head-to-head like that and ignore it if you're a committee member? So these are things we don't know. These are things that we just don't know. So tomorrow night will shed a lot of light, because if South Carolina tomorrow night has jumped, because Clemson's going to drop from 12. So they're going to fall down below everybody. But ahead of them, Oregon won, Ohio State won, Texas won, Penn State won, Notre Dame won. Miami will drop. But Georgia won, Tennessee won, SMU won, Indiana won, Boise State won. So 2 teams ahead of South Carolina, Alabama, and Mississippi won. So they stand to move up. The question is, will South Carolina jump Alabama and Mississippi? If they move up 2 spots, that still puts the Gamecocks, and nothing else happens, the Gamecocks are still on the outside looking in if they only move up 2 spots to 13. If everybody else moves up, then Alabama's sitting at 11 and Mississippi's sitting at 12 and South Carolina sitting at 13. So the big question is, in the minds of the committee, is South Carolina better than Alabama or Mississippi to be able to move up enough to get that last spot, apparently?
I think they are now, Phil, but the problem is you have proof that they're not. They lost to both of those teams on the field. And in my mind, on-the-field results should weigh extremely heavily when you're gauging teams. Now, if you had a team that's 4-7 versus a team that's 11-1, and their only loss happened to be an upset to the 4-7 team, then you've got no argument. But if they're identical records and I just can't see how you overlook head-to-head. That should matter. And unfortunately for the Gamecocks, it's probably going to keep them out. But I still think the LSU game is the one that keeps them out, because if they had won that game, as they virtually did, they're 10-2, and they don't have to worry about Alabama and Ole Miss.
All right, our phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. We are going to turn it over to you now and hear what you have to say about the weekend, about what is ahead for both teams, because we're talking about Clemson, dropping, and they are, but they beat SMU Saturday night, and the Tigers, who just live life correctly, don't they? Just when the Gamecocks think they have Clemson buried, it could be Clemson again in the playoffs and the Gamecocks sitting at home. Would that not be a stick in the eye? Be back after the break.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Touchstone Energy Cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
All right, we promised to hear from you across the state, 888-898-2525. Sports Talk, the place where sports fans in South Carolina come to be heard. And so we'll take your phone calls, we'll take your text messages, we'll take your messages off of the streams as well. Again, 888-898-2525. And our text line number is 803-900-4847. And, of course, if you're watching us on X or on YouTube, you know how to reach us there. So let's get to the phones. And we're going to head first to Nick in Gaston. And, Nick, welcome into Sports Talks. Good to have you with us tonight.
Hey, Phil.
Hey.
Yeah, but I just want to say, man, as far as the playoffs this year, and I don't know what your opinion is, but I think in about 2 or 3 years, when we get the NIL situation settled down, we get the transfer portal, John, back to where, you sign up with a college and you play to get your education, you commit for 4 years, you play for 4 years. I think it's going to make a big difference in who is in the playoffs and who ain't. But as far as that goes, I give credit to Carolina. Sure, I'm a Clemson fan, and I was not happy that they won, but they won. I give them credit. 3-point victory. Go ahead. But
where did you see Clemson's breakdowns? Where did you see strategically where they came up short, in your opinion?
I don't know, man. I'm not going to say it was coaching. I'm not going to blame the coaches because as far as all my Clemson friends who want to fire Dabo, blame Dabo, I'm just saying, yeah, blame Dabo for 2 national championships. Go ahead. Crow all you want, blame Dabo. Let's get rid of him, just like I heard before and before and before. When it's the coach's fault, it's all on the head coach, whatever. But I will say this, maybe we got beat, like Dabo said. It's not Clemson, it's, we got a record, okay? So if anybody wants to criticize, look at the record books. But all I can say is, does either team deserve to be in the national championship? If we bring it back to where it should be, to where you had 4 teams that had the most wins, I doubt either one of them should be there, and I'm good with that. And I think it'll eventually, in about 2 or 3 years, it'll get back to, how many wins you have at the end of the year, regardless of how well you did starting out or how well you did finishing or, how many moral victories you had or, we can all make excuses. I wasn't happy with the officiating during the game, but that's here nor there. That doesn't put us anywhere in the record books, okay?
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much. Look, we're watering down the playoffs every time you expand it, so you're going to have 3-loss teams. Eventually you'll have a 4-loss team. I'll say this in criticizing Clemson, a couple of things. Number one, never ceases to amaze me, Chris, how offensive play callers shoot themselves in the head. Clemson's moving the ball. They've got the lead for maybe, I don't know how many times the first time, probably no more than 5 times, or maybe not even that many. They put Klubnik under center, and they're going to run a trick play.
Yeah.
And their trick plays never work. And
not against South Carolina for sure.
It totally blew up in their face. Now, the Gamecocks didn't score. Nobody scored off the turnovers in the game. But what it did do was kill a potential scoring drive for Clemson that would have turned really everything their way. And then the other thing that you would question would be their defensive strategy in the fourth quarter, where they took Sammy Brown off the field. Maybe their fastest, well, is he faster than Barrett Carter? I don't know. But he's a heck of a player. They took him off the field and they went nickel, and South Carolina wasn't throwing the ball all that much and all that well. What they were doing, of course, was running the quarterback. So you would have thought they would have preferred to have had 7 in the box and a bigger guy and a bigger body in there, too. You needed a bigger body to bring down Sellers.
Well, Dabo said, in the post-game press conference that on Sellers' touchdown, the game-winning touchdown run, they had a spy on him. I'm still trying to figure out who that spy was, because it's got to be, as you pointed out, somebody that's big and also fast.
I think it was Woodaz.
Yeah,
I can't say for sure.
Taken out of the play.
Well, no,
was he the one who tried to tackle him and clipped? Mickens that got hurt at the end on that play as well.
Woodaz was right at he was the one that kind of touched him, I think, at about the 5-yard line or so. Or maybe at about 10 before he made that. What a run that was. You realize it's, he drops back. You go back and you look at it. Sellers drops back. He lets the rush come to him, and then he darts up the middle. Then he veers to the left. Then he cuts to the right, And all the while, you've got at least 7 Clemson defenders back there, and they're all just falling over one another.
Mm-hmm. He looked like a seasoned pro. I mean, he looked like a fifth-year senior the way he led them down the field. Go back to the Missouri game, same thing. He didn't look like a redshirt freshman. He drove them with confidence right down the field, get a touchdown, win the game. Same thing here. He makes the game-winning play. I mean, it's remarkable how he plays well above his age. And the job in terms of improvement that he has made from the Old Dominion game just this year, from the ODU game to now, it's not even the same quarterback. Now, clearly, he's got to get better in the passing game. I don't think they'll be able to continue to win games moving forward with him throwing for 164 yards. They might be able to win a lot of games, though, with him running for 164 yards. So,
unbelievable.
I mean, just incredible.
Couple of things there. First of all, the Gamecocks rushed for 267 yards, I think it was, 267. That's the most they've rushed against Clemson this century.
Yeah. And it's the second.
And that makes it sound like it's a really long time, but I mean a century this century. It's the first time this century. They haven't done hardly anything on the ground against them for the most part. And here's the other note, another note. So Beamer goes 2-0 in Death Valley in his first 2 trips up there. There's been only one other Gamecock coach to do that. Can you name that coach? Unless you saw my tweet.
I did not see your tweet.
Actually, that's not as hard as you would think because they've only been playing up there since 1960.
Right.
So it limits the number of head coaches that it could be. I'll answer it for you. It's Brad Scott.
It wasn't Spurrier. Okay. Yeah. Ironic.
Yeah, Brad Scott won his first 2 times in Death Valley as the Gamecocks head coach, and Beamer has done the same thing. On the flip side, he's lost his 2 games in Columbia. So is that right? Let me think. 2020 they didn't play, and so Beamer's 21, 22, 20. So Beamer's first year was 21, so he lost in Columbia in 21. Yeah, so he lost in Columbia in 21 and 23, and he won in Clemson in 22 and 24. So, by the way, and we're going to run to the break and come back with more calls. Can we please, while we're changing everything in college athletics with the money and the transfer portal, John, can we please reinsert a little bit of class?
Yes,
just a little bit of class with the coaches and the players, and learn how to win with class. And when you lose, leave the field and leave with class. But I tell you what, Clemson, you got to do something about keeping the fans off the field right after a game. You got to give the opposing team a chance to leave the field. Be back in a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and below freezing with a low this evening dipping down to 27. Tomorrow it's more sunshine, but even colder than today, a high of 47. Tomorrow night's low dips all the way down to 21 degrees. It's dry all week. Wednesday's high in the low 50s. Thursday's up to 63. But again, on Friday, we're cold. 47 is the high. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Looking for a true wow, really, are you serious Christmas gift? I'm Jack Oliver, and we have it. A soothing, therapeutic hot spring spa from Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio. Imagine getting that someone special or the family their very own hot spring spa for Christmas, then enjoying it together for years to come. We have Finleo saunas, beautiful patio furniture, and top quality grills too at Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, 3303 Forest Drive at jackoliverpools.com.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting. Already reeling from their November defeat at the polls, Democrats are now grappling with President Biden's pardoning of his son for a federal felony conviction. That's after the party spent years slamming Donald Trump as a threat to democracy who operates above the law. The White House on Monday struggled to defend the pardon, claiming the prosecution was politically motivated. Snow continued to fall Monday around parts of the Great Lakes region where storm-weary residents who have plowed and shoveled for days face the prospect of even greater accumulations. Lake-effect snow fell on parts of western New York, Pennsylvania, and Ohio that were already blanketed with a foot or more over the past 4 days. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 128 points, the Nasdaq rose 185, the S&P declined 14. More details at srnnews.com.
Drivers who switch and save with
Here's a shocker. It gets hot in South Carolina. Seems kind of crazy that if you got a home or you got a business, you're sick of the power companies controlling you, demanding rate increases every 6 months, sick of your power bill going up. You can't even pick your power company, but you can choose Broker Solar to give you some control over that bill. Solar panels are not free like some of these stupid yard signs say. These door knockers often, well, they're scam artists. Not Broker Solar. They don't go knocking on the doors. I told Ken I want some incentive for our Point family listeners. So, purchase a system from Broker Solar. Your first solar panel is free. Look, I'm not into scare tactics, but this is an election year, and the way things are going, well, maybe it's time to stop relying on the government or these power companies. Broker Solar offers you control. Solar can save you money. These solar batteries are amazing. What a huge difference they can make. Do your homework. Online, it's brokersolar.com, or just call Ken. I trust him. I really do. You can also. 807-7417. That's 807-7417.
The hunting season is here. Whether you hunt in the woods or near the water, Palmetto State Armory has you covered with everything you need for the season. PSA has a complete inventory of AR-style rifles, bolt-action rifles, shotguns, ammunition, outdoor apparel, decoys, and more from all of your favorite brands. Visit PalmettoStateArmory.com to find the store nearest you. Palmetto State Armory, American-made for life.
Hey y'all, my name's Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. With the holidays approaching, people are looking for places to hold large parties. Flight Deck Restaurant has what you need. We have 4 different rooms that can accommodate groups from 12 all the way to 120 people. As long as you eat dinner with us, Flight Deck does not charge a rental fee for the room. Flight Deck Restaurant can accommodate wedding receptions, rehearsal dinners, Christmas parties, birthday parties, anniversary parties, civic organizations that need to have a regular place to meet. Flight Deck Restaurant is a full-service restaurant and we can provide audio-visual equipment. Please consider Flight Deck Restaurant in Lexington. Thanks y'all and God bless.
It's the best time of the year. December 14th, it's Parade Day and the Holiday Parade of Lights, proudly presented by Lexington Medical Center and a Greater Casey West Columbia Chamber. The North Pole is open from noon to 4. Enjoy the unique art, the tasty food, and great shopping. And then come out and line the streets. The parade begins at 5:30. Everybody loves a parade. For more information, go to visitcwcsc.com.
Pardon me, ma'am. Are you interested in lowering your energy usage and saving money?
Make it quick.
Did you know that Dominion Energy offers heating and cooling rebates up to $750?
That's a lot of money.
Yes, it is. And it comes in handy if your system fails and you need a replacement.
Any restrictions?
For starters, your new equipment must be Energy Star qualified.
That's a good thing.
Go to DominionEnergySC.com and click Save Energy.
DominionEnergySC.com it is. Thanks for the tip.
Certain restrictions apply.
Feeling just right. Phil, Chris, and Josh, they're in the zone. Across South Carolina, they're well known. Sports talk, bringing the heat. Talking sports, can't be beat. Tune in, don't you pout. It's a show you can't live without.
Back we are, Sports Talk Media Network. Hey, we're through Thanksgiving. That means Christmas is right around the corner, then New Year. And you know what happens when New Year hits? Once you get through that, you start thinking about summertime in South Carolina and vacation. You want to make that phone call to Jimmy Smith down at Paulie's Vacation Rentals and James Smith Real Estate. That number is 843-237-4246. 843-237-4246. Online at pauliesvacationrentals.com. I wonder if Jimmy's got a special for when the Gamecocks beat Clemson. You know, if you're really nice to him and tell him you're really happy, he might chop off a couple of extra percentage points or something. Probably not, but just a thought. Jimmy Smith, he's in a great mood, I can promise you that. So reach out to him right away and get your plans made for that perfect place to stay at the beach. 843-237-4246. Online at pauliesvacationrentals.com. All right, a couple of quick things, then your phone calls. Plenty of recruiting coming up. Of course, it was an interesting weekend for Clemson. They lose perhaps their number one prospect in their commitment class to Michigan, and they pick up an offensive lineman who changed his mind from Kentucky and picked the Tigers. Of course, signing day is Wednesday. So we got a lot to talk about leading up to that. But a few other quick notes, and then back to your phone calls, and we'll get to these text messages as well. A lot of those are flowing in. But we've had, of course, people announcing that they are transferring, including at South Carolina. The Gamecocks have had 3 reserve players now announce that they will be transferring because of an opportunity to play somewhere else. As you imagine, they want to have some playing time. One of those, of course, is Mo Kaba, veteran player at South Carolina. I mean, like what? Been there 5 years, 6 years? Never could stay healthy, always having to deal with an injury, not of his making. You hate that for him because he had a lot of promise as a player, no question about it. But if you talk about a player who got a bad break, no pun intended, he got a bad break throughout his career due to injuries. So he is planning to transfer. Nye Mansell, a backup offensive lineman, and defensive tackle Jamal Weiss, also planning to transfer. And something else kind of big in the state, Chris, you can comment, that Coastal defensive tackle Clev Lubin is going to transfer after coming in from a junior college, and he was a offensive line wrecker in his 1 year at Coastal.
Phil, this is devastating news for the Chanticleers because this kid, they weren't sure what exactly they had in him. He actually started his career in Army and was a running back. He's transitioned over to defensive line, and here's a kid that's inside the top 10 nationally in sacks. He had 9.5 this year for the Chanticleers, had 2.5 in their win on Saturday at Georgia State, which got them bowl eligible. And then you turn around and watch him leave. And that's the problem that the G5 teams, the mid-majors, if you will, run into more so often than say, the Gamecocks and Tigers do, because this is a kid that has proven he can play and probably will end up with the Gamecocks or the Tigers or somebody at that level. And it's unfortunate from a Coastal perspective because they sort of groomed him into a darn good defensive lineman, and he really became a player that I hope is going to make one of the postseason award teams inside the Sun Belt, because I think he is a first-team All-Sun Belt defensive player. I don't know that he'll get there because of Coastal's record this season. 6-6 teams sort of get ignored a little bit, but you can't ignore his stats. I mean, he was – you had to start to plan for him, and teams still couldn't figure out a way to block him.
Yeah, I could see South Carolina and Clemson. I think Clemson, according to what Tiger Illustrated was writing today, Clemson is going to make a commitment to go after real players in the transfer portal, not just guys to come fill out a room. I'm talking about real players. You know, Dabo's made the comment, and everybody rolls their eyes. Well, we've taken a couple of players in the portal the last couple of years, and that answer is you've taken players, but you haven't taken players.
Right. That will help you. I will say this, and then you can continue, but I did want to get this in because you were talking earlier about sportsmanship. Dabo Swinney's postgame press conference was as well done as any coach in that situation I've ever heard. You know, sometimes Dabo, that comment you just made is a perfect example of this, sort of runs off at the mouth. He could not have been more gracious in that postgame press conference after a devastating loss for his team.
Yeah.
And I thought he handled that with as much class as you could possibly handle it. And if you want to learn something about sportsmanship, go back and listen to what Dabo had to say after the game.
And I
he
think
could not say enough good things about Lenore Sellers and USC and also his team.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to the true respect and friendship the two head coaches have.
I agree
There's
with
no
you.
angst
I
there.
agree with you.
I think in this particular case with these two head coaches, it's we're going to work as hard as we can during the week. We're going to play as hard as we can in the game. We're going to coach as hard as we can. And if we win, that's great. And if we lose, we're going to congratulate the other guys. I just want to say, as I was hitting the break, though, Clemson has got to do something, especially in an emotional setting like that. You know, if you're playing Presbyterian or Furman or one of the – fine. But you just can't allow Gamecock fans and Clemson fans to come right to midfield before the coaches are even shaking hands. And they did have a flag planting at midfield, and there was a bit of a pushing and shoving, and not really, I wouldn't call it a skirmish, but there was some pushing and shoving going on. Thank goodness it did not escalate into something that you saw like at Ohio State, or other
had to break
places
out pepper
around the
spray?
country. Yeah, so
It's ridiculous.
all right, a couple of other quick things. USC finished the regular season averaging 188 rushing yards per game. That's an improvement of 103 yards per game over last season. Can you believe that? And that's the that's their average. Let's see, that's their best rushing average since they averaged 199 yards per game back in 2013. So big improvement there. West Virginia is going to fire their head coach reportedly, Neil Brown. May have already happened. Matt Zenitz reported that earlier. And Appalachian State fired their head coach today, Sean Clark, who got off to a real good start, but last couple of years didn't win enough. And
lose to Coastal and Georgia Southern in the same season. I thought he might get a reprieve because of what they had to deal with this year with regards to the hurricane. But you want to talk about a program that is proud and will not stand for losing seasons, it's Appalachian State. And that's a tough call for them because Sean Clark's one of their own.
Yeah.
And a really good dude. But, yeah, just couldn't really keep up the high standard that the Mountaineers have for that program.
Sunday night, Clemson was listed a 1.5-point favorite against SMU in the ACC championship game. And one more thing here, Jerry Palm of CBSSports.com in his projections last night did not include South Carolina or Clemson in the college football playoff. He has USC in the Gator Bowl against Syracuse, Clemson in the Pop-Tarts against Iowa State, and Coastal in the Camilla against Toledo, which is the very first game of the bowl season. Am I saying that
really?
right? Camellia,
Okay.
Camellia, not Camilla.
Yeah,
the
Camellia
Camellia. Yeah, it's December 14th if you didn't know.
I've also heard for Coastal, we can go anywhere between Boise, Idaho, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Boca Raton, Florida, too.
Wouldn't be surprised you end up in any of those spots because you're going to fill a spot somewhere. Okay, back to the phones, 888-898-2525, and it is Keith in Camden with us next right here on Sports Talk. Welcome in, Keith. How are you? Hey, Keith, are you there? All right, let's put him back on hold and go to Hank in Columbia. Hello, Hank. Welcome into Sports Talk. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fine, Corn.
Yes, sir.
And and before I start, I think the earlier caller, that's just a little sour grapes. I think if anything, that playoffs will go to 16 before it goes back to 4.
Yes, it ain't going back to anything.
Oh, yeah, no
It
doubt.
ain't going back to anywhere.
No.
Because regardless if you like it or not, it had more people. We're talking about the final 3 teams, but it had more people this weekend watching like games with Iowa and Arizona. I mean, Iowa State and Arizona State and all that because of all of the different people that could get in. I mean, I probably watched more games across the country the last 3 weeks than I ever have in any season just because of the playoff scenarios.
Yeah. I got to admit, listen, I was one of those when all this was going on, was singing a sad song about what's going to happen, but I'm wrong. I mean, I think that college football, from the standpoint of the product on the field and what we're seeing and the excitement and obviously the television ratings and the revenues and all that, probably has never been healthier. Are there some things they need to fix and tighten up? Well, for sure. I think in time they'll get their hands around that, but can't say that the product's not good on the field. You can't say that.
No, you can't. And one thing, Jordan, I'll say about the, in these games, I felt like there were some things in that game that showed that Carolina really was a better team. How many times in this series has a team lost a turnover battle and still won the game? almost never. And those drives, remember, Carolina was driving to score early when the Norris had this fumble. They were driving again to score in plus territory when Rocket Sanders had his fumble.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think
and they were scoring to drive when he threw the interception. So I mean,
the interception. Yeah.
One thing about Sanders, he's got, and this will probably come in time. I mean, he's done a better job with his interceptions, but he's still loosey goosey with the football at times. He's got to tighten up that part of his game.
Yeah, and I think those and they came from behind them, so it wasn't like earlier where he was just dropping it. But
you got to know that they're going to come at you from behind, and they're going to be swatting down on the football. There's a way the coaches teach you to carry the football to prevent that. I can't explain it, but there is a way.
Yeah, that's true. and so I think that Carolina really had their spot. And then, and I think the thing is, I think Lenoris is progressing with his passing, just fine. If you had, Connor Shaw was a good passer, but there was a couple of games we played Clemson where they were like, if they're going to give him the pass, then he'll run. If they're going to give him the run, he's going to pass. And one of the things with Lenoris is on all those drives where he had those good runs, he made key passes to start. Remember the screen pass to start off. He hit Sellers on the midfield pass going down the field where not Sellers. He hit Harbor on the midfield pass down the field where he was coming across. So I thought he threw when he needed to throw, and as the line and receivers get better around him, he'll throw more. But they couldn't just load up and say, we'll just put everything on the run, because he was hitting people. And so I just thought that was always, that conversation's been strange over the weekend. And then, Dabo did say they were running packages to kind of slow him, which took Brown out. But on one of those runs, Lenoris broke, I think it said 7 tackles. And on one of them, the safety or whatever, jumped on him, and Lenoris carried him for 10 yards.
Yep. That was Lewis. That was Lewis.
Yeah. So thinking one person was going to go in there and he was going to make a big difference on him the way Lenoris was playing, I just don't think so.
That reminded me of the year that Clemson beat South Carolina up there, and it was a Clemson running back that carried a Clemson receiver, one of their big receivers. Was it Mike Williams? I think it was Mike Williams. Caught a pass at about the 10-yard line, and a Gamecock defensive back jumped on his back and carried him into the end zone. Yep. Yeah, that's what that reminded me of. Yeah, very, very strong play. I thought that Dowell – let me say this. I thought Dowell Loggins had another good day calling plays. The way he mixed in the screen pass, took away a lot of steam from the Clemson pass rush. I thought he worked that in. And then the adjustments they made in the second half to make Sellers a primary ball carrier. They kind of went to the single wing the way they ran that thing. It was just – pre-called runs, snap it to him, pull the guard, pull the center, get the blocking out in front, and let him just power his way through. I thought they made some really good adjustments in the second half to counteract what Clemson was trying to do.
Yeah, and one other thing, last thing, after Corn, is that the thing about when he one of the things that I don't know if you could see from inside the stadium, but I know it happened on the sideline. When he threw the interception to Harbor, Harbor kind of didn't run the route he was supposed to. He was supposed to turn up and come back.
Yeah.
And Lenoris on the sideline went to him, grabbed him, told him what he was supposed to do. Kind of fussed at him, told him what he was supposed to do, tapped him on his head. Harbor gave him his bad type of deal. And then he went back in and he engineered that drive. And so with all his talents, he is becoming a leader too. So I just hang up, great game, and go Cox.
Appreciate it. All right, that's what you have to be as a quarterback. And if you're getting the respect of your teammates, you can do that. You can go point out where they made a mistake, and they'll listen to you, and they respect what you say.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the respect, they're going to turn and not listen to you at all. And that's clearly not how this team responds to him. You just see after he makes plays, every single member of that team runs over to congratulate him. It has not taken him very long to become the leader of that team. And you're talking about a guy who's still a redshirt freshman. It's remarkable.
Well, they say that when your best player is your hardest worker, you earn that respect. And that's probably the case here.
Upperclassmen respond.
Yeah, he's probably the hardest worker in there as well. And he's also very quiet. He's not a guy that really, does a lot of social media stuff outside of what he's paid to do. So he's just sort of, I'm not saying he doesn't crave the limelight, but he's not a great talker in press conferences as far as expanding on things. He gives short answers, direct answers, but he's not. Maybe that will come in time. We got to remember he's probably still just a teenager, 18, 19 years old, because it's
I'm guessing
2 years out of high school. So let's squeeze in one more quick call before the break and go down to Brian in Goose Creek. Brian, welcome to Sports Talk tonight. How are you?
All right. You guys are doing good, I hope.
Yes, sir. Good to have you with us.
Hope my buddy Gamecock Larry's doing okay. And is Tiger Brian hiding in a closet? He didn't want to call. He told us that they were going to run the table. He told us a fib. That's not good, Tiger Brian. That's not good. So when we won 5 in a row, did we win 3 at Clemson, or did we win the 3 of the 5 at home? When South Carolina won the 5 in a row against Clemson, would you know that answer?
Well, sure. I can look it up to be sure. I'm trying to remember. Did the streak begin in 10 or 9? Do you happen to remember?
No.
Chris, do you happen to remember? Did it begin in 10 or 9?
I don't remember right off the top of my head.
Give me just a second, and I'll tell you.
If it might have been 10. That's just a guess now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It actually began in 9.
So if it began in 9,
that was in Columbia.
So yeah, so it was 10 in Clemson, 12 in Clemson, so 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 2 in Clemson, 10 and 12.
Okay.
Yep.
So we've done that, and so I called you, if you remember, and I told you that we were going to run the table, and I told you that, can you smell what the Gamecocks are cooking? Do you remember my call before?
I do.
So see, Tiger Brian, that's what you do when you believe in your team. I'm not saying you don't believe in your team, but if you talk big, you got to back it up. And my team backed it up. We ran the table, and if we don't get into the playoffs, we'll have the longest winning streak in the nation going into next year with 7 games, because we're not losing our bowl game. And thanks for taking my call. You guys do a great job.
Thank you.
Sir.
That's a good point. But you'd rather have that chance to extend it in the playoffs, I'm sure. And I'm sure we'll hear from Tiger Brian. We got a message here that Gamecock Larry is in the hospital, so prayers out to him. That
he's evidently on hold too, according to Josh.
Oh, he's on hold? Well, I take my prayers back then. I didn't realize he was on hold.
Still extend those, but
yeah. I mean,
he's hanging in there.
If he's not calling, then I thought it might be like serious.
Yeah, no, I get it.
He's probably in the hospital just to visit one of his girlfriends. Well, if he's on hold, we'll get to him shortly. Be right back.
Some insurance carriers are based in another state or only have an online presence. Not at Farm Bureau Insurance. They're a local South Carolina company that believes commitment comes with a handshake. Become part of the Farm Bureau Insurance family today by calling Buddy Bridges at 864-984-0413 or stop by the Upstate office at 726 East Main Street in Lawrence.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has a new rolling jackpot, and trust me, our state hasn't seen anything this big before.
How big? Harbortown Lighthouse big?
Bigger.
Bigger than the Ravenel Bridge?
Even bigger.
Not bigger than Table Rock.
With this new rolling jackpot, Palmetto Cash 5 is officially too big to ignore. Palmetto Cash 5 draws nightly, so play today. Check if your numbers are winners in the Players Club app or at seeducationlottery.com. Overall odds are 1 in 10. Top prize odds are 1 in 850,668.
Touchstone Energy Cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
George Bryant here for Tsunami Bar Sports, and some say the fun is in the winning. I say the fun is in the training. And Tsunami Robbie, what do you say?
George, we all know you get more done when you're having fun. This technology is different, it's engaging, but it's also a lot of fun to use.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any Tsunami Bar order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait, order today.
Nothing on that beat. Nope.
All right, back to your phone calls. We approach the top of the hour here on Sports Talk. 888-898-2525 is the number. We'll have Zach Willis at 7:35. First and 10 with Zach. and get his take on how everything played out on Saturday. But back to your phone calls, and it is Ray in Elgin with us next. And thank you, Ray, for joining us. And you're on the air. Go right ahead.
Hey, guys. Yeah, thanks for taking my call. But, I thought it was a very kind of a touching moment because Cade, he had a great game. I'm a Gamecock fan, but, he had a real good game. And that pick he threw at the end of the game, did you see how it was a big defensive line from Carolina came up and him and Cade kind of embraced and they kind of, shook hands and everything? I thought, for Cade to be able to do that after what had just transpired, that to me, that young man's got a lot of class, and I just kind of wanted to put that out there. But, as a Gamecock fan, I'm very excited about the win in the future. I'm real excited. I don't think we're getting in the playoffs now. This was like 30 years ago. Remember how Florida State would lose a game or two at the beginning of the year, but they'd go on a roll, win 6 or 7 in a row, and, man, they'd finish in the top 5. I think years ago they put more cadence, I guess is the word I'm looking for, more into
more credence.
How you're playing lately. But your credence, there you go.
Yeah.
But now it's all about, you lost to this team 2 months ago. It's more about head-to-head. I think, and I can understand that to some degree, but I think they put more in the head-to-head and how you're playing lately. So, anyway, but just the fact that here we are at the end of the year, and we're talking about the Gamecocks as the first or second team, on the outside looking in. That tells you that program's come a long ways. And just to think, I know that later in the week the story's going to change a little bit with the calls because Clemson's got a heck of a chance to get into the playoffs. If they take care of business and beat SMU.
Well, they're are
right
favored.
There. I know they're not thinking.
They are favored, but I got to be honest with you. I don't think they'll beat SMU. Again, I don't think they will.
Have they ever played? Is this like the first time the two schools have ever met? Because I don't ever remember them playing, But anyhow, hey, guys, thanks for taking my call.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Show,
yeah,
guys.
man, thank you. Yeah, Clemson's got issues. Chris, they got issues. South Carolina exploited those issues. Right now, if you can't stop the run and you can't stop a quarterback like Lenore Sellers, what makes you think you're going to stop a quarterback like Jennings at SMU, who is equally dangerous running the football, and he's an excellent passer?
Well, and I get it, the Citadel's a little different, but still, the last 2 weeks, they've given up almost 300 yards a game on the ground. They've got to get that fixed, and you wonder what their mindset is going to be. I mean, you listen to Dabo talk in the postgame, it was almost like they were already looking to a bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
They up until the tail end of his postgame press conference, did anybody actually bring up, hey, you've got a chance to win the ACC?
Well, I think when he walked in, Miami was up 21-0. He was probably figuring they wouldn't blow it, but they blew it. Be back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Hezbollah fired into a disputed border zone held by Israel after multiple Israeli strikes inside Lebanon since a ceasefire took hold last week. Despite that, the U.S. says the Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire is holding together for the most part. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Despite some sporadic military activity between Israel and Lebanon, White House National Security spokesman John Kirby says the ceasefire has led to a dramatic reduction in the violence.
We went from hundreds of rocket attacks to basically zero by Hezbollah and dozens of airstrikes by Israel to 1 or 2 per day.
The ceasefire is essentially holding, even though Israel and Hezbollah have accused each other of violating terms of the truce. Greg Clugston, Washington.
A number of Democrat senators have rebuked President Biden for pardoning his son Hunter. Bob Agnew reports.
Colorado Senator Michael Bennet is among several Democrats who say the president's decision further undermines trust in government. He says Biden is putting his personal interest above duty, something that, quote, further erodes Americans' faith that the justice system is fair and equal for all. Senator Gary Peters of Michigan writes on X, the pardon erodes trust in government and, in his words, emboldens others to bend justice to suit their interests. Bob Agnew reporting.
Snow continued to fall Monday around parts of the Great Lakes region, where storm-weary residents who have plowed and shoveled for days faced the prospect of even greater accumulations. Lake-effect snow fell on parts of western New York, Pennsylvania, and Ohio that were already blanketed with a foot or more over the past 4 days. More snow is forecast to fall through Tuesday. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 128 points, but the Nasdaq rose 185. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity, and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
Like Black Friday, sales are expected to be huge on Cyber Monday.
Consumers are scouring the internet for online deals as they look to make the most of the post-Thanksgiving shopping marathon on Cyber Monday. The National Retail Federation came up with the term for the Monday after Black Friday in 2005. Even though e-commerce is now part and parcel for many people's regular routine, Cyber Monday continues to be the biggest online shopping day of the year. That's thanks to steady discounts and a fair amount of hype. Consumer spending for the online shopping days between Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday provides an indication of how much shoppers are willing to spend for the holidays. I'm Haya Panjwani.
A Delaware judge has reaffirmed her ruling Tesla must revoke Elon Musk's multi-billion-dollar pay package. The judge also rejected a massive fee request by plaintiff attorneys. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On-Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and below freezing with a low this evening dipping down to 27. Tomorrow it's more sunshine, but even colder than today, a high of 47. Tomorrow night's low dips all the way down to 21 degrees. It's dry all week. Wednesday's high in the low 50s. Thursday's up to 63. But again, on Friday, we're cold. 47 is the high. I'm Cal Moss with your On-Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, we are back. It's hour number 2 here on this Manic Monday after the Palmetto Bowl weekend, rivalry weekend, and ahead of the playoffs and the bowl season and all that coming up. Phone number 888-898-2525. Recruiting coming up. Zach Willis coming up. More of your calls coming up. Let me run through some other quick notes if you haven't been paying attention today, because like most of you have real jobs and you can't just sit there and stare at X all day like we can. Oklahoma hired Washington State's OC Ben Arbuckle as their new offensive coordinator. Coastal's Tobias Fletcher is the Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Week.
Should have been.
Is he on transfer?
Pair of interceptions, one he had yeah, that's the problem. Pair of interceptions, one he took back for a touchdown, and our pregame player profile feature as well.
Oh, it's so sweet.
Charleston Southern to the stadium, I think, as well.
Charleston Southern forward Tajay Kelly is the Big South Basketball Player of the Week, and upstate guard Carmelo Adkins is the Freshman of the Week. USC women up to number 3 in the AP poll this week, trailing UCLA and UConn. Luther Burden, this will send if you heard a bunch of cheering from defensive coordinators around the SEC, it's because
that's the truth.
Luther Burden announced he's leaving for the draft, and they'll be happy to make sure he gets to Green Bay for draft day.
Going where he belongs now, the NFL.
Yep. USC quarterback Lenora Sellers, SEC Offensive Player of the Week, or one of them, and punter Kai Kroger, who was exceptional, Special Teams Player of the Week. Again, that's an area where South Carolina had such an edge with Kroger punting and pinning Clemson back. The first net rankings.
I see Lenoris was named the Pop-Tarts Play of the Week or something, too, and they're going to send like 50 boxes of Pop-Tarts to USC's football building.
Mm-hmm. You did see that. I didn't think it was worth mentioning, but you did it.
I just like the fact they're all getting a box of Pop-Tarts.
As if they can't afford to buy them.
Exactly.
The first net rankings of the season is out. Clemson is 18 and South Carolina is 135. Others are Furman at 77, Charleston 148, PC 185, Winthrop 193, Wofford 208. Coastal Carolina is an airborne division, the 282nd.
Oh.
Isn't that an airborne division, the 282nd?
Yes, it was, 282nd. Yep.
Airborne, yeah. Coastal's 282nd. State is 288. Charleston Southern is 291. Citadel's 329th, and Upstate is 348th. And let's see what else I want to mention real quick. Our poll question of the week, brought to you by Larry Lucas, State Farm Insurance. Call 803-799-1998 for the best in insurance information and coverage. The question is, South Carolina's been the talking point of the pundits on social media since the win at Clemson, and many think they should be in the CFP. At this point, how confident are you the CFP committee will include the Gamecocks? How confident are you that the CFP committee will include the Gamecocks in the 12-team field? Right now, 50% say it's 25% chance. 34.6% believe it's a 50% chance. 100% say it's a 7.7% chance. Or 100%, there's 7.7% of the voters say it's a 100% chance. And another 7.7% say it's a 75% chance. So that's out of 26 votes. So, by the way, obviously our numbers are down because we started a new X account after our original X account was hacked. So fewer followers right now, but growing. And if you haven't started to follow us on our new X account, the account is at Sports Talk Posts with an S. At Sports Talk Posts with an S. Okay. And with that, we go back to your phone call. Sam Pittman, by the way, will return as the coach at Arkansas in 2025. We go to Gamecock Larry next up here on Sports Talk in the hospital, but we've seen the doctor's reports. We hear he's doing fine. Gamecock Larry, you are on a heater, man. You've been right on every Gamecock pick since the beginning of November.
Yes, sir. I just want to thank everybody for your prayers, because I thought at one time I don't know, it was hard, one hospital to the next, but I want to thank you for your prayers, but I feel a whole lot better. Yes, I'm in Lexington Medical Center. They took another test about 4 o'clock, and if that works out, I'll be going home in a couple of days.
Good.
But I want to tell Mr. Phil.
Yes?
Chris.
Yep.
Smitty.
Yep.
And I ain't going to include Josh because I think he's a Gamecock.
Josh is underage. You can't include him.
I want to tell the Dabo And I want to tell the Clemson fans, we own the state of South Carolina in everything. In everything. And I feel a whole lot better. I didn't get to talk no trash before the game, but I'm going to talk trash after the game. And Phil, you gave me no more than 90 seconds. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you. And I love all y'all. Go Gamecocks.
All right, Larry, you sound good. Keep getting stronger and better, and get home and call us again. I'm sure that we'll hear from you, and we're glad you're doing well. Thanks for calling. All right, let's continue. As we've heard from Gamecock Larry, 888-898-2525. Let me hit, I tell you what, we got a bunch of text messages in here as well. Let's go back to the phones, and we'll do these in a second. So we go next to Rich in Charleston. Rich, welcome to Sports Talk. How are you?
Hey, Phil, what's up, man? It's Richie down in Charleston, buddy. How you been?
Hey, man, how are you? Appreciate it.
Not too bad. Good, man. So a couple of things. Did see yesterday, or earlier today, Justice Boone, former Gamecock at Sumter, hitting the transfer portal. Like to see him in Columbia, man. He'd be a good fit. I wish he didn't leave the state the first time, but hopefully we can bring him back. And then y'all's poll question, you know, I can understand everybody trying to argue about certain things about who gets in, who gets out of the playoffs, but you've got guys like what you do and I do down in Charleston with radio shows that, you know, they are basically lobbying for the Gamecocks. I mean, people in Indiana and Iowa and Michigan who don't know very much about, you know, the Gamecocks, but they've learned. But what they're recognizing is that they're the hottest team in the country, and there used to be a time where that's who you put into this playoff, and that's the only argument I got when it comes to the playoff. It's supposed to be the 12 best teams in the country, and because we've allowed the Mountain West and some of these other teams in, you know, it's a little bit skewed to that. But, you know, as far as the Carolina game, and I'm going to kind of throw everything and hang up and listen, but it's hard as a Gamecock and a former Gamecock that went to USC, man, to talk a lot of trash because that was a hell of a ball game, right? I mean, it really was, and it came down to the final seconds. You know, that's kind of what we hope to see every year, definitely with the outcome, but just it being so close and having so much meaning. I mean, I don't know in 46 years that I've ever been a part of a game where both of us were so highly ranked and there was so much on the line. And let's just be honest. I mean, what if we don't make the playoffs? Clemson wins their division, wins their conference, and then they end in, you know. So it's a very unusual charted waters. It's a lot of fun to see. And I think the last thing I'll say is, you know, I thought Rocket Sanders, when he got hit in that first opening drive, he kind of got up kind of gingerly before you saw him limping off the field. Didn't hear anything about him, but he seemed like he wasn't 100% on Saturday, Phil. I'll kind of hang up and listen, and I look forward to seeing you at the North-South game, buddy.
All right, thank you very much. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice him not running hard the rest of the game. In fact, that screen pass that he caught in the second half, which was a big play for them, as I recall, Chris. Remember that screen pass? Mm-hmm. And that was a big play. Thought he ran hard. Don't know if he was favoring anything at all. Tell you, man that made that play go, that screen pass. If you go back and look at that play, I was looking at it today. Vershawn Lee got out in front of that thing and just obliterated a Clemson player that opened that hole up for Sanders. Did you see something with him?
He on, and I think it was, I'm trying to remember the order. I believe there was a play earlier in that, maybe not even in that drive, but earlier in the ball game where he runs the football on the right side, and when he gets tackled, it's almost as if his ankle got rolled, and so he hobbled off. Attaway came in and replaced him, but then I'm almost positive that screen pass was after that. So my guess is he's okay. So
Attaway gave him a couple of nice runs as well. Now I don't think Maffa.
Nice fill-in for them.
I don't think Maffa was anywhere near his normal self. You know, at 100%.
No.
Or either the Gamecock defense just did a good job of bottling him up for most of the game. Okay, we go to Richard in Belton, back to the upstate. And Richard, welcome into Sports Talk. Tonight's good to have you with us.
What's going on, guys? Y'all doing okay this evening?
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. Look here, I'm going to tell you boys something. I'm not a Gamecock fan, but my wife is born and bred Gamecock. I have to live with it. I am a Tennessee ball. I'm a Tennessee ball fan.
Okay.
But I'm so glad that that Tennessee and Carolina didn't play this year. It'd have been tough. I'm saying Carolina was on the road, guys. Them guys was playing hot. They got a good football team. The defense is great. What can you say about them, man? They hot. I mean, they deserve a shot to go to the playoffs. If not, hey, they've had a hell of a season. But I'm just glad that they didn't come to Knoxville. We didn't come to Columbia. Either way.
Do you know what would be? And thank you very much. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. You know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. Clemson's going to win, and South Carolina's going to get in. And, well, Clemson, if they get in, they'll be a top 4 team. They'll be a top 4 team. No, they'd have to play in a bowl game because Clemson would be a top 4. So they'd get – and that's the thing. If you're a Gamecock fan and you don't get in and Clemson wins and you see them not only win and get in, but then they get a bye into the round, into the bowl games, into the second round in the bowl games. You get all that glory and all that attention and da-da-da-da. And you're going to be like
one of the highest ranked conference champions, into the top 4 ranked conference champions.
Oh,
I mean, Clemson's going to be sitting around 15, aren't they? If that scenario plays out.
Well, I'm just thinking it'd be higher than the Big 12 champ at this point.
Probably so.
You know, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But I'm just saying that would be, to a Gamecock fan, it would be like, well, you know, we did win the game, but now everybody's kind of forgotten about it because all the attention is going to be on these teams that make the playoffs. All right, let's hit Debbie in Columbia before the break. And Debbie, welcome to Sports Talks. Good to have you with us.
Hey guys, I'm a proud Carolina graduate. I'm so excited for the team. I had a couple of things. I was concerned about Rocket Sanders, what his condition was, and the condition of our 3 tight ends. And then I just want to say, Gamecock Larry, I'm praying for you, and I just want you to know that Jesus loves you. And I'll listen off call. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm sure Larry appreciates that. Again, no mention of anything after the game. Rocket Sanders was in the game late that I recall. I think he was in the game late. I have to go back and check.
Wasn't he one of the post-game players that were interviewed as well?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, he did come in. Yeah. So nobody even mentioned anything. And as far as the tight ends, Simon played, and I'm trying to think. Really no other tight end. Did any other tight end play? I don't think they played any other tight end. So Simon was, I guess, the only one to play at that position at the pure tight end spot. So don't have anything else to add. I guess the most important thing is that Simon was healthy and able to play because he's a valuable member to what they do. Interesting, even though he played like 29 snaps, you heard nothing from Mazeo Bennett in that game. Didn't have a catch. I'm not even sure he was targeted once, was he? I'm not even sure he was targeted. Harbor had a nice game for him. But what about those Clemson receivers? You got to give Clemson credit. They came out, good game plan, attack South Carolina's man coverage with those receivers, throw the ball up and let them make plays, and it worked. I mean, it really worked for them early in the ball game.
I'm surprised they went away from that, quite frankly, Phil, especially as well as I mentioned earlier. I thought the offensive line for Clemson gave Klubnik plenty of time. I would have continued to stretch the field because USC's secondary, because they like to play a lot of man coverage, they were having a hard time dealing with him. And then on that final drive, it looked like the Gamecocks went back a little zone, and so Klubnik was just picking them apart, moving down the field. Brandon still had a nice ball game. I thought Antonio Williams was terrific, and, of course, Wesco and Moore just going to continue to get better, I think.
Okay, we're going to run to the break, and looks like the board's clear, so we'll get to some messages. We'll get to recruiting. And Zach Willis coming up. Can't wait to hear what he has to say. Yeah, Harbor was targeted 6 times. All of a sudden, he's kind of emerging as the go-to guy, and he looked good. He had 3 catches for 51 yards. And, again, I don't recall any of the Gamecock receivers having a drop per se, just a pure drop. Okay, hit the break. Be right back.
Major Billy Downer here from the Department of Natural Resources, and DNR is excited to announce the implementation of Go Outdoors SC, a new online licensing and boat titling system that you can access right from your phone. Through this new system, customers can purchase their hunting and fishing licenses, renew their boats, apply for lottery hunt opportunities, and complete electronic harvest reporting requirements. For more information, visit Go Outdoors SC at your local app store.
Football season is upon us, and that means Columbia is welcoming fans from around the corner and across the country. No matter where you're from, Gamecocks love coming together for game day energy that can only be found in South Carolina's capital city. Book hotel rooms, find pre- and post-game activities, and plan your tailgate spread with local favorites from pimento cheese to barbecue at ExperienceColumbiaSC.com. We'll see you soon, and go Gamecocks!
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hostetler-Brown. Helping an aging loved one arrange for their care can be one of the most difficult things you will ever do. Fortunately, you don't have to navigate this maze alone. Lawyer Lisa's knowledgeable life care team can lead you down the right path. Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Okay, let's get to the recruiting report. Brought to you by Seawells. Of course, this is the week of the early signing period, beginning on Wednesday, running through Friday. We're in a dead period right now, so no visits can take place. But you are not in a dead period when it comes to visiting Seawells. Now, closed today, open tomorrow, rest of the week for the daily luncheon buffet. Make sure you get over there for that between 11 and 2 o'clock. And with the winter upon us, winter parties and festivities, those are dominant. And let Seawells handle your event at their place. They host a lot of parties, or they'll come to your location. Just give them a call for more information. 803-771-7385. Online at SeawellsCatering.com. So early signing begins Wednesday. Clemson sitting on 14 commitments. The newest one the Tigers got came in on Sunday. It was somebody that I don't think anybody around here had ever reported on. First time I'd heard anything about him. Offensive lineman who had been committed to Kentucky from Cincinnati. Name is Tucker. Got to go back for a second. Tucker Caddis. And he's a big kid. He's a big kid out of Cincinnati and had been committed to Kentucky. Kentucky was his first offer. He is 6'5", 304. I don't think, to my knowledge, as far as I can tell, checking his social media and everything else, I don't think he's ever visited Clemson. As far as I can tell, if he has, he did so without, putting anything on his social media. So he became the 14th commitment in the Clemson class. Tigers lost one on Sunday as well. Jordan Young, maybe their most prized recruit, safety out of North Carolina, he flipped to Michigan. So Clemson loses one to Michigan. That is 6.
How much money does Michigan have?
Apparently a lot.
Good grief.
Apparently a lot. So he flips to Michigan. That's 6 decommitments for Clemson in their class. Can you imagine that? Had they held on to all 6, they'd be sitting on about 21 commitments and probably would be done right now. But that's the name of the game. So early signing period begins on Wednesday. Here are the commitments for Clemson. Planning to sign defensive end Ari Wartford, defensive tackle Amari Adams, defensive tackle McKee Williams-Lee, linebacker Logan Anderson, center Gavin Blanchard, tackle Easton Ware, tackle Braden Jacobs, tackle Rowan Byrne, tackle Tucker Caddis, quarterback Chris Denson, running back Gideon Davidson, safety Marquise Henderson, tight end Logan Brooking, and wide receiver Juju Preston. You can imagine the Tigers will certainly try to add to that class. Meantime, South Carolina with 21 commitments. Defensive end Anthony Addison, defensive end Kabi Saki-Pra, defensive end Jaquavius Dodd, defensive end Donovan Darden, defensive tackle Caleb Williams, linebacker Jaquel Holman, linebacker A.J. Holloway, linebacker Tayshawn Alston, linebacker Josh Smith, long snapper Kyler Farrow, offensive tackle Shed Surratt, punter place kicker Max Kelly, quarterback Cutter Woods, safety DeMarcus Leach, safety Christopher Hatfield, safety Kendall Daniels, wide receiver Jaden Sellers, wide receiver Brian Rowe, wide receiver Lex Cyrus, wide receiver Jordan Gidron, and wide receiver Malik Clark. That group of 21, as far as I can tell, as far as I know, those 21, as of tonight, they all appear to be firm with the Gamecocks. Now, South Carolina's got a bunch of targets remaining on their board, including defensive end Jared Smith, offensive tackle Damola Ajitahan, who's committed to Georgia Tech, defensive end Zay Hardy, a Mississippi State commitment, wide receiver Jackson Rep, who is not going to sign on Wednesday, out of J.O. Mann. He said nothing else has changed, but he's just not going to sign on Wednesday, TBA, on when he will sign. Defensive tackle Christian Ingram, who today named the top 3 of South Carolina, Southern Cal, and Kentucky. Running back Jeffrey Overton, a Virginia Tech commitment. Cornerback Michael Clayton, a Rutgers commitment. Defensive tackle Braxton Kyle, a Rutgers commitment. Tight end Zach Atkins, a transfer, Northwest Missouri. Receiver Donovan Murph from Irmo, who's not announcing until January 2nd for either Clemson or South Carolina probably. Hammond tight end Mike Tyler, LSU commitment, announcing at 1 o'clock on Wednesday. Running back Toquan Payton, a Memphis commitment. And there's more to give you after the break, and then we'll have Zach.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and below freezing with a low this evening dipping down to 27. Tomorrow it's more sunshine, but even colder than today, a high of 47. Tomorrow night's low dips all the way down to 21 degrees. It's dry all week. Wednesday's high in the low 50s. Thursday's up to 63. But again, on Friday, we're cold. 47 is the high. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Tradition and quality. That's what you get with H&J Cattle Company, where local third-generation farmers ensure you receive the finest beef in South Carolina. Our registered Hereford and Wagyu cattle are raised with sustainable practices, without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. Taste the difference with the highest quality beef guaranteed. Order now at hnjcattle.co or on Instagram and Facebook at hnjcattle.co. Again, hnjcattle.co, where ethics meets quality.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting Israel has unleashed its largest wave of airstrikes across Lebanon since agreeing to a ceasefire with Hezbollah last week, killing at least 11 people. The strikes came after the Lebanese militant group fired a volley of projectiles earlier on Monday as a warning over what it said were Israeli truce violations. This was apparently the first time Hezbollah took aim at Israeli forces after the 60-day ceasefire went into effect last week. Alaska Airlines says an unspecified technology issue caused the temporary grounding of flights in Seattle and continuing problems with booking flights online. The company said in a statement that the issue Monday morning resulted in a significant disruption to its operations, including delayed flights. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 128 points. More details at srnnews.com.
If you are 65 or older, you know
customer service. We all talk about how it's gone down the tubes in recent years, but not everywhere. Not with the Hickory Hill Insurance Agency. These are the folks I want you to feel comfy reaching out to for your Medicare and health insurance needs. Tim Hanberry and Medicare Blueprint have joined Hickory Hill Insurance. The result? Even better customer service with a bigger team to help you by utilizing the very best technology in the industry. And you know what else? Just plain old caring about people and treating them like their family. When you call them, you'll get a call back fast. When you need a question answered, they'll take the time to help. This industry's so confusing, it's so ever-changing. They have a team that knows the best plans for you. They'll ask all the questions, they'll get all the answers, and as always, it won't cost you a penny to get their services. The best way to learn more? Visit their website, partdandme.com. That's partdandme.com, or call the team at Hickory Hill Insurance Agency. They're local, and they're willing to talk one-on-one. Remember, customer service still matters. 708-7398, 708-7398, or online, partdandme.com.
Looking for a true wow, really, are you serious Christmas gift? I'm Jack Oliver, and we have it. A soothing, therapeutic hot spring spa from Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio. Imagine getting that someone special or the family their very own hot spring spa for Christmas, then enjoying it together for years to come. We have Finleo saunas, beautiful patio furniture, and top quality grills too at Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio. 3303 Forest Drive at jackoliverpools.com.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Lots of plumbing companies out there. Few are truly local. Time to discover the difference with Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, when I faced plumbing woes at the Cohen home, Josh and his dedicated team, well, they were my go-to solution. They make a commitment to exceptional service. They arrived on time, clearly detailed all the costs and procedures, and efficiently handled all my repairs without any surprises. These days, how often do we complain about a lack of customer service out there? With Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, these folks are professional. They're courteous. They're skilled at what they do, and they've earned my trust, and they've earned my recommendation to you. From urgent repairs to the tankless water heater you've always wanted, they've got you covered. Visit franklinplumbing.sc.com or call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. Hey, you tell them Kev sent you from The Point. I'm pretty sure you'll want to thank me later.
All right, Zach Willis coming up in just a moment here on Sports Talk. We put the wraps on the recruiting report tonight, left off with Steve Miller, safety from Greensboro, Georgia, Southern Cal commitment, another player South Carolina's been dealing with, though. Helma Granahan, the big Spur, wrote that he does not believe Miller is going to flip from Southern Cal. He went there this past weekend. Kevin Wynn, also from Greensboro, Georgia, Florida State commitments, another player USC's been working. And A.J. Brand, the quarterback from Irmo, Virginia Tech commitment. South Carolina has been working him. Of course, Clemson's primary target on the board right now, wide receiver Donovan Murph of Irmo, back at Clemson on Saturday after taking an official visit the prior weekend. Also took an official visit to USC. Has also talked about Colorado and Ole Miss, announcing on January 2nd. Clemson had in Saturday no official visits, but among those who were in besides Murph, 26 running back Tony O'Banner of Thomas Hayward. These are all in the 26 class. Offensive tackle Malcolm Gaston, North Augusta. Offensive tackle Desmond Green, Timberland. Offensive tackle Zion Giles, Carvers Bay. Dorman safety Kentavian Anderson. Receiver Gordon Sellers of Charlotte. Offensive tackle Leo Delaney of Charlotte. Defensive tackle Bryce Perry Wright of Buford, Georgia. Running back Jalen McGill of Mountain View Prep. Offensive tackle Braden Wilms of Lawrence, Kansas. Offensive tackle Trey Aiken of Clinton. 27 class quarterback Mason Holtzclaw of Arden, North Carolina. And offensive tackle Carter Jones of Pequasin, Virginia. USC target, defensive tackle Christian Ingram, Covington, Georgia. Down to South Carolina, Southern Cal, and Kentucky. Went to Southern Cal over the weekend. Defensive tackle Josiah Victor, Loganville, Georgia, who was offered by USC in October. He flipped from Boston College to NC State. One-time USC target and former Tennessee Vol defensive end Shandavian Bradley, Hutchinson Junior College, Kansas, committed to Oklahoma State. Clemson target 26 cornerback Chasten Smith, committed to Notre Dame. Heathwood Hall corner Onus Conanbanny, now considering Florida strongly after being committed to Tennessee, according to On 3. 26 safety Tomarion Watkins of Northwestern, offered by West Virginia. And Sumter native defensive end Justice Boone, transferring from Florida. And as we mentioned, Coastal defensive tackle Clev Lubin also is transferring. And before we get to Zach, a quick look, because the Portal John window actually opens a week from today, but players have been announcing left and right their plans to enter the Portal John. So I thought I would mention some of the bigger names that have popped up today as far as being in the Portal John. That would include Texas A&M defensive lineman Gabriel Brownlow Dendy. Flushed. Auburn defensive lineman Gage Keys. Need a little WD-40 on that handle, I think.
That's right.
Handle's got a little squeak to it. Florida offensive lineman Mike Williams. Mississippi State running back Jeffrey Pittman. Liberty quarterback Caden Salter. And let's see if anybody else here of interest that we have. Oh, Louisville running back Donald Chaney Jr. Give him another flush because he actually transferred from Miami, so give him another flush. He's a double flusher. And give you one more. Oh, Southern Cal quarterback Miller Moss. Okay, those are just some who have popped up. All right, somebody we do not want to flush away from Sports Talk is Zach Willis.
Now, First and 10 with Zach Willis on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Willis, as we welcome the coach to the program. Welcome in, sir. Hope you had a great holiday and a great weekend, and it was an entertaining game, to say the least, there in Death Valley, wasn't it?
It lived up to every bit of what I hoped it would be. Both teams made some mistakes, but, man, their quarterback play, it was all guts, man. It was all guts, all glory. There were no losers in that ball game, no matter what everybody wants to say. And then Miami never let me down. They sucked just like I knew they would, and lost to Clemson. They can both be in the playoffs. I can see it happening. SMU's going to get flushed when Clemson handles them. Is it going to be in Charlotte? Is that right?
Yeah, in Charlotte.
I want to challenge every Clemson person that listens to this game to be at that game and make that Death Valley North.
Yeah.
I want it to be that way, and I want them to crush SMU. I want to take them out. I'm a homer when it comes to the two in-state teams that I've spent my retirement years covering. They've got two great cultures, and they both let it all hang out in Death Valley. And the thing that was the most beautiful to me, Phil, and I want to say this before we analyze it, was right after Klubnik threw the tip ball and got picked off, incredible interception by Knight, by the way, turned right around, and I think it was one of the defensive linemen for South Carolina came over and they shook hands. Less than 2 or 3 seconds after it happened, showed what a class act both programs are and how much respect they have for each other after beating the daylights out of each other for 3 hours. It was an absolutely phenomenal game, and really, it just came down to one play, which was what we wanted. I was kind of hoping for overtime, hoping they'd kick a field goal, but I know they were worried about their kicker. That's why they were trying to win it, as any championship program would.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of the Georgia Tech end and the two coaches. That was one of the longest coaching hugs I've ever seen. I think both coaches were just emotionally drained, exhausted, and respected one another. It's like, hey, man, you should have won. No, you should have won. And that was very good after that ball game. So good to see.
Kirby Smart is, I coached at South Carolina when he was actually a nickelback and a free safety, and he was there because he was so smart. And the kid isn't a kid anymore, but he's got a ton of class. And Georgia Tech's headed obviously in the right direction. Tremendous amount of guts from both teams there too. It was just kind of, for me, like going back in a time machine and watching good old-fashioned college football the way it ought to be, and it really made me happy.
Yeah.
I know it did you too.
I got to believe that going back to the days when you were there with Holtz and you had Corey Jenkins, were you there when Corey Jenkins was the quarterback? Obviously Sellers, Corey would probably get mad at us for saying this, but Sellers was probably a better passer than Corey was. But it was that kind of offense for the Gamecocks. Big, strong, running quarterback who either made his own plays or made something out of the plays called for him.
Man, I love Corey, and Corey's phenomenal. Was a pro baseball player, played quarterback, college, and skill, and he went to the Miami Dolphins and backed up Zach Thomas and played outside linebacker and inside linebacker. One of the most amazing natural athletes I've ever seen. So, and Corey got us Alshon Jeffrey long after I left. He paid a visit and made sure he didn't go play for Lane Kiffin. And guess what? Alshon didn't end up pumping gas, Lane. He went to the NFL and won a Super Bowl. Anyway, moving right along to Mr. Sellers, and I do call him Mr. Sellers. He's graduating from maybe baby Cam to Cam Jr. What a difference-making athlete. Oh, my gosh. People have to understand this, and I was talking about this in the middle of the game. This is against Clemson's defense. This is not Wofford. This is not my alma mater, Furman. This is not just Mississippi State. This is Clemson, and he was able to do some incredible feats of athleticism to win that ball game. And Kay Klubnik did it to South Carolina's defense too. Both of those quarterbacks really, really brought their A+++ games. But for Sellers to be a freshman doing what he's done, and at the size he is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and he's only going to get better. He's only just touching, scratching the surface of what he can do. So I think Clemson people, some fans, perturbed at how Clemson defended the Gamecocks in the fourth quarter. What did you see?
What were they going to do different? Here's the thing. And I understand their fans, and we love Clemson. We love their fans, one of the best fan bases in the country. They support with their wallets. I don't want to – listen, guys, you were in the presence of something really special going on in that ball game. They did a great job defending Herschel Walker years ago. I'll give them that. But Cam Newton, Johnny Football when he was in his heyday, and now Sellers. Sellers is a combination of Johnny Manziel and Cam Newton, if there's such a thing, because his lateral mobility is elite, as well as his power and straight-ahead speed at 6'3", 6'4", pushing 250, I'd say. And so what are you going to do? They had a spy on him. He either juked the spy, ran over the spy, or just flat outran him. And this is Barrett Carter, number one, probably the Lombardi Award winner if justice is done there. In a first-round draft pick, Terrell, the little Terrell brother, I watched him juke him 2 or 3 times, and that kid's going to be a first-round draft pick like his brother. I don't know what they do differently there. If anything, South Carolina made several mistakes that could have cost them the game, not coaching-wise so much as just, them being young and making some stupid mistakes here and there, but Clemson forced those too. I don't know what it could have went any way, but I had a gut feeling all week long that this Carolina team is just a little bit different, and they showed it. They have a resilience to them that if they get into playoffs, and I believe they will, they're going to go a long way, Phil. They're a very, very, very dangerous football team because if Clemson can't defend him, who can? I mean, I put their defense up there with Ole Miss's defense, which is phenomenal, but they didn't have to defend to help themselves. Neither did LSU or Alabama. This kid now is also not only not a freshman anymore either.
Yeah,
he's played in the massive games, and I don't see a better player out there. I know Shane Beamer was glowing, and I know the national media is not ready to crown him or nothing, but I'll just be conservative here and say if he continues to develop, and I believe he will, he's very intelligent. They should be launching a Heisman Trophy campaign for him. He's a very special player.
Coach, you seem pretty confident that the Gamecocks are going to get into the playoffs. How do you sort of sidewind in terms of a reason around both Ole Miss and Alabama being in front of them in the latest rankings and both of those teams having beaten USC head-to-head?
Well, I know the rankings that came out today that I saw had South Carolina jumping them. I don't know what will happen, but the truth of the matter is I was having – when I missed Phil's phone call last night, I was with an Alabama alum who admitted to me he thought South Carolina at this point would beat Alabama. And if you're on the committee, you're looking at the last 6 weeks of the year. They went undefeated, and I don't think there's anybody, if they're truly honest, and Alabama fans are very, very good football people, and they're honest people. That team is not headed in the right direction. Georgia's not headed in the right direction. Texas is motoring along pretty well. But really, who in the SEC is going to beat them right now? Really, honestly, I don't know. Going into Death Valley as South Carolina and Clemson, that's a rival game, doing what they did to the Tigers. I don't know how you can keep them out. I mean, you gonna honestly let Clemson, who they beat, when they beat SMU, they're in. You think Boise State's better than them? I mean, Boise State will probably get in. But you're looking at, 4 automatic bids, 5 automatic bids, and then there's 7 or 8 teams sitting there that, they're not one of the best of those. Right at this point in the season, I kept telling you guys Miami didn't deserve where they were, and SMU doesn't either. And you think Indiana could beat South Carolina, really? 10 out of 10. They'd never beat them. I mean, if they'd have to kneecap all 8 defensive linemen, even it's some crazy stuff that goes on in these games. But I mean, when South Carolina's been bad, I've blasted them, and I've let everybody know it. But look, guys, they've earned this. They have gone through a toughest schedule, one of the toughest in the country. Only the other teams had it rougher with the teams that are with them in the SEC, and they all gave each other bloody noses. But Alabama couldn't beat Vandy. South Carolina manhandled Vandy. The loss to Oklahoma to me was really a bad loss, and that's what the Alabama fans were telling me, confidentially, was how can you look past a 24-3 drubbing, and South Carolina went right in there after them or before them and wore Oklahoma out. And it could have been worse than they did. So I'm just an old ball coach. I don't know a whole lot about politics, and maybe they'll get politicked out of it, but if you want to see the best teams, I think they've got to be in there. And, Clemson can play their way in. It'd be something to see Clemson go in after South Carolina beat them and South Carolina get left out. I don't think that'd be very fair, and that might happen. But it'd be a black eye if they don't get in. And the thing is, the national media is already calling for them to be in. As you know, when Kurt Herbstreit says it from a political standpoint, he's all over them right now. It's going to be hard to keep them out. That's just
real
my
quickly,
opinion.
Coach. You were talking about Georgia Tech earlier. I was just curious, as a former coach and looking at the game now, are you comfortable with the current overtime setup that we have to allow a game as great as it was? That was certainly great theater, but to go 8 overtimes, or would you like to see possibly the NCAA make a tweak to the overtime rule?
I mean, okay, from my blood pressure, heart rate standpoint, and longevity of life, I hate it. But as a fan, God Almighty, that was fun. I mean, I was in Atlanta, and we were right by Georgia Tech's campus, and there wasn't a soul on the street. These kids were all in there. If they weren't down there cheering them on, they were in their dorm rooms, I guess, glued to the TV. I'd never seen it like that. And I mean, I don't know when you talk about theater, that was theater now. I mean, that was the edge of your seat. The only thing I really could compare it to, and it was Georgia Tech. It wasn't a World Series, but it's kind of like, 2 out in the ninth inning, 2 men on, and you're down, and you need a hit, and it's full count, and it's just pitcher versus the batter. That drama is about as high drama, or free throws in the Final Four to win or lose a ball game. But when football has something like this kind of overtime where it comes down to 2-point conversions, I'm going to be honest, I thought it was a huge win for the whole format watching it go down to that. It was in the Texas A&M game against Auburn went down to that too, and it was phenomenal. So I thought it was great. And now as a coach, I would hate it.
Yeah.
Because you run out of 2-point plays, but we're there to entertain, and we're paid to entertain. We're in the entertainment business, and at the end of the day, they're going to talk about that game and that rivalry long after we're gone, and I think that's what it's all about.
Well, we ain't going anywhere anytime soon, so let's give it a few more years.
Not planning on it.
All right, my friend, we thank you as always. Great stuff.
Thanks, Coach.
Enjoy the week. Championship weekend coming up. We'll break it down with you next Monday.
Absolutely, and I just want to thank both teams again for making a memory for all of us. They're both to be congratulated. You guys have a good one.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. That's the coach, Zach Willis, 1st and 10 with Zach here on Sports Talk. We'll come back and give you some of these juicy text messages and other messages that we have. That's coming up here on Sports Talk tomorrow, a Talking Tuesday. Dabo Sweeney having a press conference. We'll be there for that. We'll bring it to you. Be right back.
When I grow up, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a dentist. I want to be an engineer.
Making dreams come true starts with making a plan. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to invest in a child's future education so they can chase any dream. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college today at futurescholar.com.
Set your youth up for a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids and teens the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Help them learn smart money skills to jumpstart their financial journey with Smart Start savings, debit, certificates, and educational resources. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your wreck case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at scattle.org. Beef. It's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff Program.
Okay, we leave you with some of the messages that we have received here tonight, so let's take them in order. Gamecock Tony from Lancaster, all I got to say is what Ric Flair says. Woo! All right. This is from Unidentified.
How did he spell woo?
With a lot of O's.
Several O's at the end? Okay. All right. Well done.
Corn, you don't want USC football playoff a Clemson butt kisser. Thank you. Unidentified.
Even though you picked Carolina to win the game.
That is correct.
Okay.
This is from Mike. Even if the Gamecocks don't get in the playoffs, this has been a great season. So very proud of this team. And Sellers is Superman. All right. Another unidentified flying text. Phil, please ask Dabo tomorrow whose decision it was to go nickel and take Sammy Brown off the field in the fourth quarter when the Chickens – see, they don't like being called chickens. They are fighting Gamecocks, just to make it clear to you. Anyway, going back to the message as it was written, when the Chickens were not getting much in the passing game and Clemson had done a good job of containing the run through 3 quarters, 4 plays for Sammy in the fourth. Why?
It's a fair question to ask.
Very fair. Is. Well, he was asked that question yesterday on the conference call. He said that was their strategy. That was their defensive plan, was to go nickel at that time. Our text message line is always 803-900-4847. See if you ever want to drop us a text. Let's go to our live line. Folks watching us live on our streams. And let's see here. Mark says, I don't want to be in just I don't want to be in, just give us a good bowl game. So he's saying he doesn't want to be in the playoffs, just give him a good bowl game?
Why? Why in the world would you not want your team in the playoffs? Yeah, why?
Dr. Sterling Harris, who joined us live on the show but also sent us a message. I'm sure it's the same one. Right? Lane Kiffin has 2 worse losses, Kentucky loss and Florida. Okay?
No doubt.
Joey says Ohio State lost. Yeah. But they're still going to make the playoffs. Norman says South Carolina soundly beat Vandy and Oklahoma. Bama lost to both of them. Texas only beat Vandy by 3. Tennessee even struggled with Vandy and Oklahoma, but they beat them. Eddie says just go to 16 and just go to 16 right now, and piss some more teammates off. Okay, Eddie. Martin says throw the LSU game out. Well, it'd be nice if you could, but you really can't. Doc says when is Will coming on? Thursday. Okay, and let's see what else we got here. Mike says best sports talk show in the country. Thank you.
Gonging that.
Mike's on top of things.
Gong that comment.
No, that was an emphasis gong. Bobby says
a standing O.
So you think Lenoris can't beat you from the pocket? The Tigers from the other Columbia said the same thing. How did that work out? Those last 2 drives that night were almost exclusively on his arm. Okay. Hey, we appreciate everything. Calls, texts, messages. Have a great night. Talking Tuesday tomorrow. We'll see you then.